This conference will now be recorded.
All right, so let's call this meeting to order. And we're going to start with our roll call. And here we go. Dr. David AC, I guess we can do a thumbs up instead of going, is Dr. AC in? No, Dr. AC. Nicholas Bragadoras.
Yes, sir. President 4.
All right, Ricky Floyd. Mr. Gillum is, I think he's officially no longer with us. Am I correct on that, Ms. Wilson? Thumbs up or thumbs down will do while we're figuring it out. Okay, thank you. Is June Joyner? Is June here? Sandeep is Mr. Steve Moore. Well, his chair is present and accounted for. Jamita Swearinger. Ms. Hazel Moore.
Here.
Gotcha. And Ms. Virginia, am I leaving anyone out?
Yes, you are. I think you've got an old attendance sheet.
Okay.
But anyway, I didn't hear you call Dr. Albert Morris or Reverend James E. Kirkwood. I didn't hear those two.
Okay. I thought we had to do an official introduction of them first, so that's my fault on that.
Oh, well, that's right. That is on the agenda. Pardon me.
Okay. All right. So we need an approval of July 18th minutes. Anybody got any issues or concerns about our last meetings on July the 18th, the minutes of that?
I move that they be admitted and accepted.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Sandeep, is that a second? All right. For recording purposes, do we need to hear voices or can we do thumbs up for a seconds?
Hello, this is David AC. I'm on the telephone. Can
Thank
you hear me?
Sir. We got you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you. I'm having trouble with my computer, but I'm on. I can hear.
Okay. All right.
Do we do thumbs up? I missed that last comment right quick.
We would just get
okay.
We were getting approvals
right
on the last minute. And so, Dr. AC, we've been requested that if you could hit mute on your phone until it's your time to speak. So if you can hit mute on there so we can avoid a lot of the feedback.
I got you. Okay, let me find it. Oh, all right, I got it. Okay, thank you.
All right. So now what we'd like to do is we'd like to welcome and introduce our newest board members. One of which I'm very familiar with, worked with him for years now in the Fraser community, and then after that over the city. And we're going to introduce them, give them an opportunity to speak. One is the former, I guess, are you once a colonel, always a colonel? Huh?
It all depends on where you are.
So one of them is James Kirkwood, who's a pastor over the Memphis Pastors Network Association, and just has a great rapport with the community. the policeman and the community as well. He's done a tremendous job at balancing both of those out. And I'd like to simply say that we are glad to have you and want to give you an opportunity if you want to say something to your new board member, Pastor Kirkwood.
Hey, good evening, everyone, and I'm just pleased to have an opportunity to serve on this CLERB board. I think it's very, very important and crucial to the climate of our community so that we can move smoothly. Police relationship within our community can go up and be a whole lot better if we can effectively carry out this CLERB board into having some real, how would I say, being a voice to say, hey guys, this occurred, this occurred. We're here for you, and we are reviewing things rightly and doing so, using our voice to bring harmony between the two sanctions, community and police. That's important. So I thank you for allowing me to be a part of you.
Amen. Glad to have you aboard. We also like to welcome, I think our IQ points are going to go up with our next member that we have, Dr. Albert Morris, who is licensed in the state of Tennessee, Arkansas, and was licensed in Maryland. Brings a whole new perspective from the medical profession that we have. Just an extensive resume and is an asset not only to the board but to the community of Memphis. We're so glad to have you as a part of this CLERB committee. Thank you so much, sir, and I'd like to give you an opportunity to say something to the people. Hit mute for me, Dr. Morris. Hit your mute button for us, if you would, sir. There you go. I think we're still having a challenge. Can anyone else hear him now? I can't. For some reason, we still can't hear you.
He's still muted.
Well, it says he's unmuted on the screen, but tech guy, you got any instructions you want to try to give Dr. Morris to get him going?
Dr. Morris, if you go up to the top, there should be a little gear wheel with camera and audio settings. Click on that and just make sure that your the correct microphone is selected, or you can call into the meeting with the phone number.
Dr. Morris, what we're going to do is we're going to make space for you to speak when we come back a little later. Seems like we're having some technical difficulties with getting you on right now, but we certainly want to hear your voice and are grateful that you are a part of this team, sir. Thank you so much. Let's try one more time before I move on. All right. All right, we're going to move on right now. So, old business. Do we have anything that we need to discuss about old business?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Devontae Harris case, the last case that we just heard, the body cam footage is not ready. He has a case in criminal court, and that case has not been resolved yet, and they might need that body cam footage for that case. So as soon as that case has been resolved, MPD has assured me that they'll reach out to me. I've also reached out to Mr. Harris. Mr. Harris knows what's going on, and he's going to reach out to me as well as soon as that case has been resolved.
May I ask, how did the case get to us if he is currently fighting a case with the police department? How did that make it to us?
I don't know how it made it to us. This is the first time it ever happened that way. Most of the time when we get it, that has been cleared. So I don't know why it happened that way. This is the first time we've ever had it.
Okay. All right. Well, let's try to, you know, okay. All right.
Court date is set for next month.
Sir?
The court date is set for the middle of next month, but I'll keep you abreast.
All right. Thank you, sir. Any other old business that we need to discuss? Motion to move forward to new business.
And I interject that I'm on board here right now.
Sir?
I'm here now. I was
Yeah,
working on my rally, and so I was a little late getting on, but I'm here now.
well, we saw your chair and we thought that was an indication that you're going to be running for the next chair's office. So I thought you were speaking something subliminal to us.
Somebody was bringing me some back to school, and I had to stop and get it.
Well, we're glad you're here, and I accounted for you when I saw your chair and that your sign in the back. Thank you so much, sir. All right, moving forward with new business, what we're going to do right now is we're going to introduce or present Deidre Malone and the Carter Malone Group. Is Ken Moody on here?
Yeah, Pastor, I'm on.
Okay, so Ken, I think it's appropriate now that we'll allow you to introduce Deidre Malone and the Malone Group, and then we'll go forward from there.
All right, thank you all, and let me welcome our new board members. And Pastor, to Arthur's defense as it relates to your question as to how we got that case while it was still a criminal case and in court, that's no fault of his. MPD should have never sent it to us, and so there's nothing he could have done to prevent it. That whenever he goes and requests a case and they give it to him, to his knowledge, it's ready to be heard. So I just wanted to make sure we understood that there was not anything Mr. Robinson could have done to prevent it. That was strictly on MPD side.
And if I gave the impression I by no means was trying to rebuke, put Mr. Robinson on the spot, I was just curious because, like Mr. Robinson said, we've never seen that happen before. Right. So I was just inquisitive about that. I apologize if I projected that image. No,
not at all. I just wanted to make sure that was clear to everybody, not you. Again, and my role was really just to introduce Deidre and the Carter Malone Group, who I'm sure needs no introduction to all of you. Deidre has been a public servant in this city for a long, long time, has done great work for this city for a long, long time. And as many as you know, there's been a lot of conversation about CLERB and how it operates and what it needs. Two things that we knew it needed, and that was someone that can help us community relations wise. And again, it was no question for us that Deidre could do that for us. And then she's gonna bring a team together, and she's got her son Brian and her county executive Chambliss. They're all gonna bring their expertise to this board to help make it more effective and more efficient. Again, my role, and actually Ms. Wilson and Mr. Robinson's role, is to provide this board with the resources that it needs, but this board is to operate independently of the mayor's office, other than, again, for us to provide resources. And so we are so thankful and comfortable that what this board needs is everything that Ms. Malone and her group is going to bring to the table. And so I'm excited, again, it's the mayor's commitment to provide CLERB with all that it needs. I know the one main thing everybody's talked about with CLERB is subpoena power. Mayor's committed that when the state reconvenes in January that he will support giving the board subpoena power. And I think the board already knows that you do have subpoena power via the council representative if that's ever needed. And so, again, with that, I just wanted to present to you guys Deidre. I don't need to introduce her because I know all of you know her already and know her work and know her commitment to serving this city. So with that, Deidre, I will turn it over to you again. Thank you. You've been a big help. Your team has been a big help so far. We've had several meetings with her prior to today, and she's been a big help. and I know she'll continue to do that. And so with that, Deidre, I'll just turn it over to you.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you so much. And to Chairman Floyd and to the CLERB board members, we so look forward to working with you. Some of you I do know personally, of course, the mayor of Whitehaven, Hazel Moore, and of course, Stevie Moore. And so my team is here. We're an extension of Ken and Virginia and Arthur's staff. So, and you know, we're here to work for you. I'm gonna pull up this PowerPoint. Some of you have been on the board a long time, and some of you are new, like Dr. Morris is new, Reverend Kirkwood is new. So this is a very compounded, brief board training. We've planned to put together a more comprehensive board training for you in the next few weeks. So today is just something kind of high level, just to educate our new board members and just to reinforce some of the things that the current board members already know. So I think I have access to the shared screen. Let me see if I can. All right, I don't need, this is the PowerPoint. This is what I want. All right, I think we're good. Again, I'm Deidre Malone with the Carter Malone Group, and working with me today will be Judith Blackmore. Some of you may know Judith. Judith and I go way back, and Judith will be working with us on the board retreat that we have that's upcoming. And then, of course, Attorney Mary Granbergs is going to be working with us on this board training. So we're just going to go ahead and begin. CLERB, you already know, some of you already know that this was created in 19, was it 90? Let me pull this down. 90, was it 96, 94? And it's supposed to be an independent entity, having the authority to investigate allegations of misconduct against the Memphis Police Department. And so after some inactivity, CLERB was reinstated in 2016, and to be able to openly have civilians feel confident bringing their concerns to this body. And so currently the CLERB board meets at Memphis City Hall, and we're going to be making recommendations for the board to consider looking at alternative locations as well to possibly hold your board meetings. And so the mission is real simple. The mission of the organization is to investigate citizen complaints of police misconduct and then turn around and make recommendations for resolutions to the director of the police department. And so the goals are to work closely with the civilians that are not satisfied with the results of the internal division investigation, and then the board hear those complaints and have a balanced approach to making sure that if there's a recommendation, a strong recommendation coming out of CLERB, that is articulated to the Memphis Police Department. The board is made up of 14 members, and a city council representative liaison is assigned to this board, and normally that is the person who is either the chair of law enforcement or is designated by the chair of the city council. Of course, someone with a criminal justice background, someone with a law enforcement background, a member of the clergy, and now a member of the medical profession, and of course, then citizens at large. The way this process works, the mayor makes the appointment and the city council confirms that appointment. Members are required to complete the Citizens Police Academy, participate in a ride-along, which I've done that before, and it's pretty exciting to see what goes on and how MPD handles those individuals out in the field, and then be familiar with the police policy and procedures, which is a really huge binder, but we can, Ms. Wilson will get that to you specifically, the new CLERB members electronically as well. The officers, Rep. Pastor Floyd is the interim chair of this board. There's an alternative board chair, and that alternative board chair will sit instead if the chair is not available. And then the secretary will be responsible for working closely with Ms. Wilson on maintaining the records of this body. You know, we currently have someone that transcribes those records of every meeting for you. And I know Ms. Wilson right now is the keeper of those records. But if the secretary is contacted and needs to provide any information to board members, then she can work with Ms. Wilson and our team to make sure that she receives, or the board or the external community receives what they need. There are committees that are set up, right? There's a communications committee and recommendations committee, and this committee was primarily committed or created to draft letters on behalf of complainants and send those recommendations to Director Rollins or the current police director, as well as the Memphis City Council and the mayor. Then there's a community outreach committee. And I believe, and Ms. Wilson can verify this for us, the Community Outreach Committee is responsible for doing outreach, letting the community know what CLERB is all about, and making sure that they understand what this board does and that people feel like they have the ability to, after they go through the process, have access to being able to file a complaint if needed, and be heard before this body. And so a part of it, what we'll talk about when we have a full retreat is how in depth would you like to go with that in terms of really getting out into the community and having conversations about CLERB and CLERB's responsibilities. And then there's a web design committee. Currently, CLERB has a really nice website, but we're looking at internally, and we'll be working with the committee to determine what changes need to be made, and what CLERB's board feels comfortable in terms of making those changes. The current team, Kim Moody, Special Assistant to, because somebody has their feedback. I don't know if somebody has their mic on. Can somebody turn their, thank you, mute your mic, thank you so much. The current team, Ken Moody is the Special Assistant to Mayor Strickland. Of course, Ms. Wilson is the administrator for CLERB. Arthur Robinson is the investigator. And Attorney Mary Grambergs is the attorney for this body. Brian Malone, Ms. Shalay Chambliss will be responsible for working with the board and Mrs. Wilson on day-to-day activities as needed for this body. And then I will come in and assist however I need to assist when needed. How to file a complaint before CLERB. It's real easy to do that. At this point, you can pick up the phone and call. You can visit the office on Beale Street, or you can go online to the website and file a complaint. Right now, Attorney Gramberg is going to talk to you about parliamentary procedure. Attorney?
Thanks, Deirdre. Can everybody hear me? Okay. I have my trusty Robert's Rules of Order, but we probably won't need to get into that. It's pretty in-depth. But for the purposes of CLERB meetings, we just need to keep in mind that the chairperson, right now, Ricky Floyd is the interim chair, has control of the meeting. Unless he recognizes someone else to speak, then everyone is supposed to keep silent until recognized. And we just have just a order that we did today where Ricky Floyd calls the meeting to order, asks about approval of the minutes. We go through old business, new business. That's generally how the meetings will go every time. And then we'll hear a case, usually, and that's under new business, of course. And we hear the case, the complainant testifies, the complainant can call witnesses, and then the board will discuss the case. And this is kind of out of the realm of parliamentary procedure, but I'll just go through this very briefly. There are generally 4 things that the board can decide about a case. And that's whether the case is not sustained, which means that the board doesn't believe that the conduct that's been complained about actually occurred. Second one is whether it's unfounded, and that's kind of like where the alleged conduct probably occurred or possibly occurred, but it's not likely that it occurred in that way that the complainant's talking about. Exonerated, where the board decides that, yeah, the conduct probably occurred, but the police officer was justified in acting the way that he or she did. And then sustained, which happens when the board decides that, yes, the conduct complained of occurred more than likely, and the board believes that the police officer acted improperly. So the board will discuss the case, decide which category it believes the complaint falls under, and vote on that. And someone will make a motion, a board member will make a motion as to which category the case falls under, and the motion will be seconded, and then there'll be discussion. And that's the process. You have to be recognized by the chair, otherwise it's so easy for the meetings to get out of hand. And it's also very easy to let the witnesses get out of hand sometimes. Sometimes the witnesses have a lot to say, and they want to make sure the board hears it all, and that's good. But there comes a time when the presentation of the case needs to end if they start saying the same thing over and over again. Then we need to cut off the witnesses and decide on the merits of the case. And then once the board has decided which category the case falls in, then the board decides what it believes needs to be done. And that can fall under recommending to the Memphis police director that there be a rule change if the board believes that the current Memphis Police Department rule should be different. If the police officer has not been subjected to disciplinary action, or if the board believes that the disciplinary action was insufficient, then the board can decide that it needs to recommend something stronger, some stronger discipline. And that happens quite often. But anyway, anything that the board decides it wants to do has to be in the form of a motion. A board member has to make a motion that the board write a letter to the police director and say this, this, and this. And then somebody has to second the motion and the board votes. And there can be, if that motion doesn't pass, then another motion can be introduced. And that's the way it continues until the board comes to a decision about what to do with the case. And then after that, Chairman Floyd or whoever is the chairman at that point will go through with the rest of the meeting, and after the case is done, that's generally, and after the case is decided, after the board decides what it wants to do with the case, that's generally the time for the meeting to be adjourned. So that's basically how, a very rough idea of how parliamentary procedure works. I'm sure most of you have been in meetings before and are somewhat familiar with it. But the main thing to remember is just that the meetings need to be orderly, and they generally are pretty orderly, but it needs to follow a set procedure, and the chairman always needs to have control of the meeting, and he does a very good job of this. So, anybody have any questions?
Yeah, David Acey,
All
I'm
right,
on the telephone.
I'll turn the meeting back over to. Okay, Tracy.
Yeah, yes, on the orderly thing, one comment, great comments. But when the complainant have a witness or witnesses, they cannot sit in the meeting. They should be outside till Mr. Robinson go and bring them in. And also, when visitors just show up at the meeting, Ms. Wilson not contacted about them, and they're not allowed to just come up and speak about anything. We'd be there forever because they're not even on the agenda. That would cut down on a lot of confusion about just allowing visitors that show up to come up and make comments. We shouldn't allow that. So we have to work that out with the board so to limit our time down there, but in discussing things that's not related to the case. One thing. So make sure we take care of that. People, and let me ask the question. If someone indicate a complaint that they're going to file a lawsuit, well, it used to be that we could not even hear the case. I think that should be clear from the chair when they come up there, that if you intend to file a lawsuit, and I need some clarification on that from an attorney or somebody, just see if they're allowed to come. And if they get our recommendation and take them to court, you see, that's why.
Actually, Dr. Acey, I agree with what you're saying about.
Well, what was that?
I agree with what you're saying about the. Are you finished? No.
Yeah, I'm finished.
Dr. Acey, are you still talking?
No, I'm through. Can you hear me? I'm through.
Okay. I agree with what you're saying about the. Okay. I agree with what you're saying about the witnesses. We need to know who the complainant is going to have as a witness. And right. It then would be up to the board chair and the board to decide if the complainant brings a witness that's not on the schedule, then the board can, of course, vote to hear from that witness, but the board could also vote to not hear from that witness. I think it might seem a little unfair to the complainant if he or she brings a witness and then the board doesn't hear from that witness. But again, it depends on the circumstances. Ideally, the complainant needs to let the board know, let Ms. Wilson know who plans to testify on behalf of the complainant.
Yeah, I agree.
As far as whether or not the complainant intends to file a lawsuit against the city, there is nothing in the CLERB Act that says that if you plan to sue the city, that you cannot file a complaint with CLERB. The CLERB is instructed to hear cases by a complainant regarding perceived police misconduct, whether or not, the act is totally silent on whether the board is restricted from hearing a case if the complainant is going to bring a lawsuit. So the way that I interpret it, since there's nothing in the act that prohibits a complainant from bringing a lawsuit against the city or Memphis Police Department, the way I interpret that is that even if the complainant plans to sue the city, the complainant can still bring a complaint with CLERB.
And they can use our decision in the court for their case, right?
There's nothing to keep them from bringing it up. Of course,
okay.
CLERB is just an advisory body right now. So,
may I address
and we're not a court of law.
May I address that point?
Yes,
this
of
is
course.
Dr. Acey,
yeah.
I would tell you that I do not believe there's any way that whatever we did could be allowed in a civil court if somebody sued the city. I can't think
Thank
of a
you.
single reason why it should be admissible, and I think any judge would keep it out. Even the fact that I think they would keep out even the fact that there was a CLERB meeting on it. That's my opinion based on my legal experience.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
May I address that as well? If that is the case, maybe, and I'm open for legal concerns on this, maybe we should let some of the people know up front that whatever decision that we make today, and if it's definitely not, we need to let them know that it would not be able to be permissible in a court of law. Because I'll be honest with you, it seems like what many of our cases that we are reviewing is they're trying to gather some information so that they can get a lawsuit against the city. So I'd like to hear some feedback on that if we do. That maybe we should let people know up front that this is not permissible or potentially not permissible or whatever the right language for that is.
Mr.
Excellent
Floyd,
idea.
I think I can address that probably as well. I think a way around that would be to have a document drawn up that they sign before we hear it, and it says that they agree that by virtue of us hearing their complaint, they will not attempt to introduce it or use it in any fashion in any lawsuit against the city. I suspect that would be an enforceable agreement. It's something similar that is done now with mediation. Any mediation people go to, they have to agree that once the mediation will not be good. I think the same thing can be done here.
Mary and Chair,
Can I
do you think this is a topic that we probably need to table for further discussion at our retreat?
I agree.
Think so, yes. And I don't know, in today's political climate especially, I don't know how wise it would be for CLERB to try to get complainants to agree to not try to get a CLERB decision in. Whether a judge allows it to come in as evidence or not, that would be up to the judge. But I'm kind of leery of trying to limit or trying to put extra conditions on what a complainant can do with the CLERB decision or in a meeting with CLERB.
Mr. Chair, we'll make that an item for additional discussion at the retreat.
Thank you so much for your wisdom.
Can I say something?
Certainly.
Okay, thank you. I believe that our intent is to see to it that there is something for the citizens. If we are forcing somebody else who's coming to us to not use our decision, that might not serve the purpose of what we are doing. But anyway, I do agree that this is up for discussion, and I think that's a very good idea.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right. Mo, do I need to give a motion for us to move to the next item at hand now? Or
Mr.
so,
Chair,
go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I think Mary still has the floor.
Okay. All right.
Okay, yeah, I actually, the document that is on the screen, I've already been over. That was just a discussion of what the board can do with a complaint, the different things it can decide about a complaint. So, and then after, like I said, after the board decides what it wants to do, then someone makes a motion and the board votes, and then we move on to the next item. And if there's another case, occasionally we've had more than one case. If there's another case, then we move on to the next case. And if there is not another case, then we move on to the next agenda item. And usually after we hear the last case, the next agenda item is for the meeting to be adjourned. So someone will make a motion to adjourn the meeting and second it, and the board would vote on that. Let's see, I'm looking at what's on the screen now. This is Right, I think Deirdre put this up. Yes, right, you can see this is paraphrased from the act. And again, it doesn't say anything about the fact that, or the possibility that the complainant might file a complaint in civil court as prohibiting the complainant from having CLERB hear their case. That's all I have, unless there are any other questions.
Any other questions for our attorney? Okay, no other questions, Mr. Chair. We're going to move on to the next item. I'm having problems with my little button to go down. Okay, it's all right. It's doing what it wants to do. Go to the next one. At this point, we want to discuss, I'm going to keep pushing until it moves, a proposed public information policy, and we'll get in greater detail of that at the retreat. But Judith, do you have it up to discuss it?
I do have it. Good afternoon. I look forward to working and assisting Deidre and the Carter Malone Group with public relations for CLERB. And let's go through the proposed public information policy. It's not on the screen. Okay, I have it. The media should contact the Carter Malone Group for interviews and inquiries. The Carter Malone Group will assess the request and notify the board chair. The official spokesperson for CLERB is the board chair. CLERB meeting notices will be distributed to the local media via email by the Carter Malone Group. CLERB meeting notices will be distributed 2 weeks before each meeting. CLERB activities will be posted on the website and CLERB's social media platforms. The CLERB website is www.clerbmemphis.org. The Facebook page is facebook.com/CLERB Memphis. The Twitter page is @CLERB Memphis. And please use the hashtag CLERB, #CLERB Memphis. The CLERB YouTube page is CLERB Memphis. So please follow and like, and you're asking everyone to follow and like CLERB on your social media platforms. So that is it, unless anyone has any questions.
Thank you, Judith. This is relatively new. The website has been around, the social media platforms are new, so we might have 8 followers or 8 likes. So we're trying to build that, but we believe that a goal for CLERB should be as transparent as you possibly can be. And so as a part of that recommendation, we wanted to make sure that anybody who wanted to find out what's going on with the cases, when we can share that information, and about the meetings, they have access to all of that information through the website and then the social media platforms. Mr. Chair, at this point, that concludes our presentation for today, and we'll answer any questions you may have of us.
I will yield if any of the other members have any questions. I would just like to say that fantastic job, confident, excited about what I've seen today. Not surprised though, but I am confident and pleased with what I'm seeing today and excited about the visibility, availability, and the information that's going out about CLERB, and even informing our new members, giving them a good presentation of what's going on. Thank you so much. Do any of our other members have any questions that you would like to ask the Carter Malone Group or our attorney before we shift forward in the meeting? Sandy, go ahead.
I have a question.
Okay.
I have a question.
It's not for.
Sandy, if I can get you to hold, Kirkwood, you'll come right after Kirkwood. Thank you, sir. Mr. Kirkwood, you have the floor.
Yes, I have a question.
Me or I wanted to ask this new guy who has come in, James Kirkwood. I don't know who is Kirkwood. Hello, can you hear
Go
me?
ahead. Go ahead, Mr.
Sandeep. Go ahead, Sandeep.
Mr. Sandeep, it appears that you are frozen right now. So as your internet is coming back in, we're going to let Mr. Kirkwood go forward now. Mr. Kirkwood, if you would proceed, sir.
Right. Question. If, for clarification, if a case is in court for criminal charges, criminal complaints, and this is in regard to the case you all saying is being put off because it's in he's going to trial. All right. CLERB is not looking at the case to find criminal charges, right? CLERB is looking at the case to see if there has been any complaint of harassment, neglect, conflict in character. So my question is, why can't CLERB hear the case while it's in court if the two have nothing to do with each other?
That sounds like a great question for our attorney.
Mr. Kirkwood, thank you for the question. The Act actually prohibits CLERB from hearing a case if criminal activity has been alleged. So if the complainant, and that is in the Act, if the complainant alleges conduct that could be criminal in nature, then CLERB is supposed to discontinue hearing the case and turn it over to MPD for the criminal investigation. And I'm not sure this case, I'm not sure if the criminal conduct has anything to do with what the complainant is alleging. It's been a long time since I've looked at that portion of the Act because frankly, this never comes up. You know, as people have said, this is a first. So, but from what I remember, if the complainant alleges that the police officer did something that could be considered criminal in nature, then CLERB is supposed to stop hearing the case and turn it over to MPD. On the other hand, I guess there could be situations where, like for instance, for the body camera footage, if the body camera footage is evidence or could be evidence in a criminal case involving this particular complainant or involving that particular police officer, but it doesn't have anything to do with the actual complaint that the complainant has filed or is trying to get has before CLERB, then possibly, and I would have to go back and look at the exact language of the Act, I could see a situation where CLERB could still be hearing a case while there is a criminal case ongoing that involves the same body camera footage, but the cases have nothing to do with each other. They're totally, and I don't know that that really is a realistic thing. I'm just saying that possibly it could happen. But from the language of the Act, if the complainant alleges conduct that is criminal in nature or could be considered criminal in nature, then CLERB is supposed to discontinue hearing the case and turn it over to MPD.
Okay, thank you. I asked the question because I think for integrity purposes, the quicker we can resolve cases, we can get them out the way, is good for the citizens' view of us. They will see us as legitimate. If cases are, if a case come to us and we just keep putting it back for all kind of reasons, then people start looking at us like, hey man, it's a waste of time. All right. And so our public relations people, it's real important that cases get resolved, that cases, because people are coming because they want to be heard, that they be heard and the matter be resolved as quick as possible. I think that's just, important. So thank you, Mayor.
I agree with that absolutely. And it could be that in this case, we need to look and see what the criminal case actually is. And if it is involving the conduct that the complainant is alleging against the police officer, then CLERB needs to stop hearing the case, discontinue the case, and let MPD have it and not keep holding it in abeyance to get the body camera footage. And that actually, CLERB is instructed to do that by the CLERB Act. So we do need to determine what the criminal case is. And if it's the same conduct that's being brought before CLERB, then we need to discontinue the case.
All righty. Well, board and attorney, get ready because Colonel Kirkwood will be bringing a lot of deep questions like that on board with him. So get ready for that. I think we lost Sandeep. And is Dr. Morris still on? Did we want to try to give him an opportunity to speak again? Is Dr. Morris, are you here? Dr. Albert Morris, I think we may have lost him altogether. So with that being the case, we're going to move forward to updates and reports from Miss Virginia Wilson.
Good evening, and thank you, Mr. Chair. My updates are very, very brief. Just want to first of all say thanks to each of the board members who made it to this virtual meeting this evening. I know that people have a lot of things on their plate, but you took the time, and we are grateful that you are here this evening for this meeting. Also, I want to just take this opportunity to thank the presenters, Deidre Malone with the Carter Malone Group, and our attorney, Miss Mary Kraft Gramberg, for the presentations that you did. Welcome again to our new board members. Also, I just want to mention that it was mentioned in Deidre Malone's report about the committees for CLERB. Once we get together and we have our board retreat, then we'll get that listing out again, because we do have names that are listed on the committees, but half of those people are gone and they're no longer on the board. So we will update our CLERB committees. Hopefully there might be something we may have an opportunity to get the board retreat done before the end of this year. If not, then we'll be looking at it next year. Also, many of you probably already know that Mr. Dewan Gilliam, who was a faithful board member, resigned. As a matter of fact, it was a month ago, August 10th. Lastly, we do have a new, well, they're not new just yet because they haven't been hired, but we will be getting a part-time person to assist with CLERB matters. So that person hopefully will be on board by the time we have our November meeting. So that's pretty much it, all of that I have for you this evening, unless someone has some questions for me.
I have a question that I would like, and thank God for the new board members that we've got active in the community and so much wisdom. But, you know, and it's visual right in front of us. As we see right now, I'm 53 years old, and I'm probably in the bottom younger of our panel members. So I think that in order for us to be trusted, respected, and valued by our community, we need to get some younger representation. And we don't have any brown representation on the CLERB. So I would suggest that, I don't know if we're full now or whatever, but I think that that's something that we need to be, for us to be trusted and to feel balance, that we need to have. We're good as far as men and women, but again, I think we need to investigate getting some brown representation and some younger millennials so they can rile some of y'all up on this panel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, your comments will be passed on so that that will be part of the consideration when the next board members are selected. You mentioned you don't know if we have a full board. We do not have a full complement currently, so there are some vacancies on the board. So definitely your concerns will be passed on so that those considerations will be considered. So if there is, you're welcome. If
Ms.
there's
Wilson,
nothing.
Ms. Wilson, I've got a question.
Yes,
Ms.
sir.
Wilson, this is Nick Burgos. I have this retreat you've mentioned. I was curious, will the city let us take our retreat? Will they send us down to Miami Beach like in January? Could we do that?
Well, you know what, Mr. Begorgas, I don't know, but of course, I sure don't mind asking.
Well, I'll Ms. Virginia, just
And
think
if,
I'll
and if Attorney
I'll say
Begorgas,
some breath, Ms. Virginia.
if they say no on that one, do you have a second choice that you want me to? That you want me to ask
Palm
about?
Beach.
Palm Beach, okay.
Palm Beach.
I'm taking note.
It's a little closer.
I think Mr. Moody has waken up and has some comments about that.
Okay.
I think the question has been answered.
All right, guys, listen, we made it within an hour. We can finish in 2 minutes. We made good time, and I think it was very productive time. Thank you all for attending. Welcome to our new board members, Carter Malone Group. We're grateful to have you a part of this team. We think it's timely, and we're going to progress. So, Sister Dr. Joyner, you've been real quiet. Do you have any input, anything you want to say before we close out today? You good?
I have one thing, Rick. Can I make one announcement?
Let's let Dr. Joyner say she has anything to say first. Doctor, you got anything you want to say? She just froze up on us, so you can make your announcement. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, yeah. Now,
We're trying to get out before an hour.
I enjoyed the meeting. Everything was said. I learned a lot, but I want to ask the CLERB to support from 17th annual back to school rally meeting this Saturday, 12 at 9 o'clock. Come out. We plan on giving school supplies to over 1,200 children. So come out and help support or help pass it out.
All right. Thank you so much. Keep up the great work. Listen, our next meeting will be Thursday, November the 12th, 2020. And so let me ask, it says virtual or conference room. If people want to come to the conference room, is that an option, Dr. Virginia Ken Moody? Is that an option?
Yes, it is, Pastor. And that's an option, and we don't mind accommodating, again, as long as we can make sure we're social distance, or if you guys want to find another location. I don't know that we've got a space in City Hall, and we can check maybe the Hall of Mayors, but it doesn't give you privacy. Well, I don't know that we've got a space in case everyone showed up. I don't know that we've got a space big enough in City Hall where we can do social distancing, but we're open to whatever.
Okay, all right. And we, at one time we talked about going into the community. We will avail our campus. We have great social distancing and internet, so we will avail our campus if that's a viable option. With that being said, can I get a motion that any other comments before we go out? Motion to close this meeting. Y'all enjoying it so much? Okay. Can I get a second?
Second.
All righty. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you all so much and have a blessed day.